Some people don't want to accept the fact that we are the product of our environment because it sounds so bad. But you know that there's also another saying, if you hang around 5 millionaires, you're going to become the sixth. And it's not because they're going to give you money or anything like that. It's simply just because you're going to start picking up and adopting their morals, their values, their work ethic, their mindset. Hello, and welcome to the Blueprint Journal. And I'm your host, Zach. The Blueprint Journal is a podcast that aims to mainstream independent thinking, highlight individual successes and failures, and share practical knowledge to achieve your version of success. Throughout this podcast, our focus will be documenting the journey through entrepreneurship rather than spotlighting the byproducts of achieving great success. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. Yo. What is going on, folks? What is going on? We are on episode number 3, part 2 of the 4-Hour Work Week mini-series. If you guys don't know what the 4-Hour Work Week is, it's an amazing book written by Tim Ferriss. And what I'm doing in this series and subsequent book series is I'm going to be breaking down a lot of my highlights, my own personal highlights, and a lot of these things that stand out to me the most, more for my own enjoyment, but also just to provide anybody who decides to listen some value, especially if you can't access the book. You might not have the means, or you might just not want to read it. I understand. You feel me? You ain't got to bullshit me. But anyways, man, before I forget my manners, welcome to the channel if you're new. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Blueprint, you feel me? And if you're returning, as always, you guys know I'm thankful for everybody listening, all 9 of you. Hey, man, I know we're going to grow at some point, but I'm not even tripping, man. Like I said, this is more for me, and I'm really enjoying just being able to put my thoughts out there, man, because there's a lot of just knowledge nuggets, so many little things, and I'm able to kind of connect a lot of these dots that I'm seeing that are very parallel and synonymous. That's a good word. The reason why I said that, though, is because in this section, it's called E is for Elimination, and it's all about productivity. And anybody who knows me, anybody who's been following the channel, you guys understand I'm not here to be wasting no time. I'm not here to be bullshitting. I'm here to give you guys some raw, uncut, unfiltered, just straight value, some knowledge that you guys can apply, very practical things, and probably some kind of crazy things. But not everybody is built to take cold showers, you feel me? But anyways, in this section, we're going to go over a few things, and the first thing is Pareto's Law. And I know a lot of people have heard of it, and if you haven't heard of it as Pareto's, you probably heard of it as the 80-20 rule or 80-20 distribution or Pareto's distribution. I know there's a lot of different names for it, but 80-20 is about 80% of the results coming from 20% of the effort or people, for example. And the way that applies and how I was able to draw connections to other things that I already knew about, Warren Buffett has this thing called the 5-25 strategy. And you might even already get it, but 5 out of 25 is 20%. But anyways, the 5-25 strategy goes like this. And feel free to actually do it, but list your top 25 life goals. After you do that, what you're going to want to do next is then just circle the top 5. Now you're like, whoa, that's crazy. And the reason why I would say, yeah, it is crazy is because I've noticed, and this could just be me, but I've noticed that people naturally will put the most important things for them at the top. That's just how our brain works. We're very linear when we think. So when we put these things in order, at the bottom, those are probably going to be the things that you were just kind of bullshitting just to fill in the 25 if you were like me, because I know I was putting bullshit there. But at the same time, at the very top are the things that are most important, things that'll bring me joy, things that'll bring me happiness and income and everything else that I want, right? So just focus on those, you feel me? Like, and the reason why I think that's such a good practice is just because if you're struggling to really define your vision, if you're struggling to really find your purpose, and you do something like that, you've just given yourself 5 defined ways to start pursuing things in your life. And I thought that was just an amazing connection, because I was like, whoa, even the numbers add up. Like literally, even the numbers add up. So that's the first thing that he talks about in here is Pareto's law. The second thing that he talks about is something that we all do naturally, because most of us are procrastinators, and that's called Parkinson's law. And Parkinson's law, he says, it's a task that will swell in importance and complexity in relation to the time allotted for its completion. Yeah, I know it's very wordy, man. The way I look at it, though, and the way I'll paraphrase it for you guys is, if we're given too much time to do something, we're not going to see it as important. We're not going to value it on our priority list. And we're also not going to understand how complex that task that we need to complete. You know, it could be studying for an exam, or completing a business report, writing your will, saving and investing in your 401k, X, Y, and Z. You don't really think of these things as important because the due date for them, the deadline for these things, are so far in the future. We're like, whatever, you feel me? Like, you get a bird's eye view, like, yeah, I can contribute $6,000 a year. I'll do it next year. You know, I'll make more money so I can do this and do that. I can do that business report, you know, in 3 days. So fuck it. I'm just going to wait the whole month to do it. Or, you know, your exam is in May, the end of May or early June. And you're like, fuck it. I can wait. I'm going to just do it the day before. We tend to forget how many intricacies are entailed in these tasks. And that's what Parkinson's law is about. But at the same time, on the flip side of that same coin, if you're told you have a pop-up quiz that's going to be on the last 40 units in school, and that's going to be tomorrow, you're probably going to look at your teacher like they just grew another head, because you're like, bro, that's impossible. And the teacher's going to be like, why? Why is this impossible, Bobby? And you're going to be like, fool, that's 40 units that I need to study overnight, and I have this class, that class, this class. You understand the importance because you know that this quiz is worth 60% of your grade. You understand the complexity because you also know, holy fuck, 40 units is a lot. And you also feel like this is you need to prioritize this because you realize how much weight and pressure is on this one task. That's Parkinson's law in a nutshell. And we all tend to apply that in our life one way or another, just like how I described. But see, the thing I found interesting about it was how you can really apply both of these things in your life in a positive way, not in a negative. I mean, you can do it in a negative way as well by just bullshitting for your whole life. But you can also apply it in your life in a very positive way so that you can become more of a productive person. Kind of how I was just saying with Warren Buffett's 525 strategy. Or another way is by just reminding yourself, like, to stop bullshitting and do the things that are important. And one of the things that you should do, kind of tying back in the first section, is defining a list of things that you should be doing, and then defining a list of things that you should not be doing. You know, one of the things that you should not be doing is just checking your email all the time. One of the things that you should not be doing is organizing files. Unless that is literally your job, and unless that is going to get you to that next level, you shouldn't be doing it. And when I mean that next level, I mean becoming more of an effective person, becoming more of an efficient person. And those words are not interchangeable. The reason why I say that is he actually defines this earlier in the very first 2 pages of this entire section. He defines it. And he does an amazing job of setting the stage before he goes into all these details, because he wants you to really understand where he's coming from before he really starts dropping this knowledge on you. You feel me? So what is the difference between efficiency and effectiveness? He defines efficiency as performing a given task in the most economical manner possible. And then he defines effectiveness as doing the things that get you closer to your goals. Now, for me, I would use these words interchangeable. You know, that I used to do that, but now I'm more conscious of it because I understand that the difference between these two things, in my opinion, is the vehicle. that get you to your goals. And what do I mean by that? So hear me out. A door-to-door salesperson or a real estate agent is a very efficient person. If you work in contact center, very efficient. The reason why I say that is if you're told in your job description, for example, in order for you to be on par level, in order for you to be proficient at your job, you need to be knocking, calling 100 people in your 8 hours that you're working. You're like, that's a bet. You feel me? Like, and instead of just calling 100 people in 8 hours, you're going to call 100 people in, say, 6 hours. That's you being efficient. So then you can, exceed those expectations and, I guess knock on and call 150 people in 8 hours or something. I don't know. But you see, we can argue that that's not the most effective way. And the reason why I say that is because, again, the vehicle, something that will make any of those people more effective, including yourself, is how you go about doing these things. So any of those people could instead, especially like a door-to-door salesman, you can email these people. You can send them direct mail. You could also work with a marketing agency like Vin Media Group, shameless plug, and create a marketing campaign. So not only can you reach those 100 people, you can reach those 100 people in maybe a minute and reach so many more people in the same amount of time. But what's the difference? It's the vehicle that's driving you, driving those results, driving you to get further. That's the difference. And that's why I was like, yo, he really knows how to set the stage before he starts dropping Paretos, before he starts dropping Parkinson's. And I just had to applaud him because I was like, holy fuck, this dude does a great job. Not only do you want to apply this to your business and professional life, you want to apply this to your personal life. You got to start eliminating wasteful people from your life as well. One thing that he asks you to do is to create a list of the top 20% of people in your life causing the most drama and frustration and stress in your life. The 80%, right? Because then if you can remove that from your life, you've just taken up a huge burden off of your shoulders. And it's really hard to even think about because most of us don't want to be, I guess, selfish, but it's okay. It's okay to be selfish. There's nothing wrong with it. And he really goes deeper into some of the things that I would say I started doing myself as well, which would be having a low information diet. And why I find that so important is just because of distractions. And I talked about that in my last rant, but so many people, especially in this generation, is extremely distracted. And having a low information diet will allow you to focus, become more productive because you're not there mindlessly scrolling or watching entertainment all day. You're actually moving toward your goals as efficiently and as effectively as possible. There's no way for you to be able to achieve your goals if you're not being consistent in doing it the best way possible. But if you're stuck worrying about what the celebrity is doing, worrying about what that peer is doing, you're gonna be stuck in a loop. You feel me? And one of the concepts that he talks about that I always been preaching is that we are the product of our environment. He actually says word for word that you're the average of the 5 people you associate with the most. So do not underestimate the effects of your pessimistic, unambitious, and disorganized friends. If someone isn't making you stronger, they're making you weaker. People don't realize that we are really truly the product of our environment. And if your environment is gangbanging, if your environment is smoking, if your environment is being athletic, if your environment is yoga, if your environment is church, those are the things that you're going to be doing and you don't even realize it. You feel me? The subconscious is always under attack. And if you want to learn more about that, man, I highly recommend you guys to read this book, Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. Also, highly recommend you guys read Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. And I can go deeper into these topics in another podcast for sure. But we don't realize how under attack our subconscious is. We don't also realize, and some people don't want to accept the fact that we are the product of our environment because it sounds so bad. But that there's also another saying, if you hang around 5 millionaires, you're going to become the sixth. And it's not because they're going to give you money or anything like that. It's simply just because you're going to start picking up and adopting their morals, their values, their work ethic, their mindset above all else. And then you're going to be able to apply those things to your life for you to be able to get that yourself, man. That's homeostasis. So I just found this entire section so interesting because he really goes into a lot of these topics. Like I was just saying, becoming more productive, having a low information diet, being a product of your environment. These are things that I literally live by. And he goes into all these details in only about 50 pages. And then he provides some very practical knowledge that you can just apply right now. The first one is, especially if you're a business owner, is limiting your time, again, low information diet, but limiting your time on things like email, on things like your phone. And the way he does that is by telling you to set up like an autoresponder, or just saying, if it's urgent, call me, and you put your number down. And I did that. And I'm the type to hate having notifications. I hate when people just be calling me just for bullshit. But I was like, you know what? Let me give this a try and see where it goes. Let me just give this a full try and see how it goes. I started doing this maybe 5 days ago as of recording this podcast. And again, I get so many emails in a day. And I used to be the type to always check my email, always check it. You know, even after I deleted social media off of my phone, I still had that itch to check my email. And it's like, why, bro? Like, what? If it's not one thing, it's another. We know that, right? So as soon as I put on that autoresponder on my email, people haven't called me. You feel me? I might have gotten one call from my boy Bees, but that's just because he always be tapping in. You feel me? But besides that, I've literally had clients send an email back saying, oh, sorry, no, it's not that urgent. I can wait for you to respond. Crazy. I thought that was crazy, man. And at first I was literally so uncomfortable because I was like, dang, man, it's going to sound like I'm swerving these people. And I know they're just trying to get these campaigns set up. So it's like, dang, man, like you really start learning these things if you really apply them. So yeah, man, that's pretty much it for this section, man. I just want you guys to know you got to start setting boundaries in your life. You want to limit access to you. You want to force people to just respect your requests. Like, yo, I'm not checking my email right now. You want to make sure that you're living a higher quality life, man. And that's the reason why I really enjoyed this section, man. He really goes deeper into a lot of these things before he moves on to a very amazing section. And I'm very excited to talk to you guys about that section, just because, man, this next section is going to be great. But let's not get ahead of myself, man. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, feel free to share it. Please. You know, I would really appreciate it. All I want is just people to start waking up, unplugging, you feel me? And lastly, I just want you guys to try one thing for me. You're not going to die. Just try one thing for me. For the next 7 days from listening to this podcast, just go on a social media detox. Just delete it off your phone for 7 days. You're going to see your focus change like crazy. You're going to feel withdrawal. Don't get me wrong. But you're also going to feel so good because you're going to realize you're not missing out on shit. I've been off of social media for almost 40 days now, and I do not feel like I've missed out on anything. The reason why is because my priorities have changed. My priorities are about my business. My priorities are about real life. It's not just BS, man. Like, it's crazy. I know you guys have probably seen like YouTube videos of people talking about their social media detox and dopamine detox, X, Y, and Z. And I'm sure it's very hard for people to conceptualize what it really feels like to be off of these things, social media, off of your email, off of your phone, because so many people in this generation was pretty much born with it in your hand. But if you just remove that just for 7 days, you can be like, holy crap. Promise you. Anyways, man, I'm not going to try to preach to you guys today, man. Like I said, if you guys enjoyed the podcast, feel free to share it and subscribe if you haven't. And let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Leave a review, you feel me? And check out the links all in the description, man. I'm going to put all the books, as always. Anytime I mention a book, it's going to be going inside the description for each podcast, man. But until then, I'm going to see you guys on the next one. Peace out.